Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Paps, a rising VTuber and an artist, and today we are going to be continuing... I have not flipped the screen. Let's try that again. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Paps, a rising VTuber and an artist, and today we're going to be working on the drawing that we've been building up for the past few weeks. I feel like today we're going to be able to do it. I hope we're going to be able to do it. I'm a little sick of working on it. Well, no, that's not true. I like working on it, but it is... I get anxious, right? Like it feels like I'm not like... How do I put this? If I work on one project for too long without ever like switching gears at any point or trying something else in the interim, it starts feeling kind of weird when I get back to it. Like, it feels like I'm not doing enough to get it done. And that's not usually an issue, because most of the time I'm able to... Hang on, let me turn off the Luffy. Most of the time I'm usually able to finish stuff in like a time frame where I'm comfortable with how much progress is put into it. But there are times when it's like, oh my god, we've been working on this for months, let's get it done. And this is one of those times. It's like, we've been on this for, I do think, a month or so now. Like, if I open up the properties of the file, it was created October 27th, so we are a little bit over a month and 2 weeks or so. So, you know, it's starting to wear on me. I want to have a shorter turnaround time, and I'm sure that a lot of people feel that way. I don't know. A good way to put it is that I enjoy the process. I just wish I were faster at it. But before we get started on that, let's flip quickly to the calendar art so that we can get that out of the way as well. I just find that it's good practice to just get this done first, because otherwise I'll be spending like half an hour. It's useful to have the constraint of having to complete it on stream. That is, I think, one of the greatest advantages that I've gained from streaming my art, is that I've... This fucking Pocky panel. God, okay. We might be able to do this one, actually. I have an idea. And more specifically, I'm probably going to do the edited version of the panel where it's just his head on like a baby body. Like this one. Okay, yeah, I think we could probably do this one. Okay, so let's think about what we'll need. So I think, first of all, we'll need a bed. And I do think I downloaded a couple 3D models. Was it like COD or like... It's like a 3D object, so it should be somewhere in here. I went on a little bit of a spree the other day, just downloading any old thing that was available for free on the Clip Studio Asset Store. And now I've got a lot of stuff clogging my downloads. I think at some point I could make a stream of just like doing like a spring cleaning of my CSP assets. But the problem is that I'm also a bit of a data hoarder. So whenever I think like if and when I end up doing that, why the fuck do I just have bread? What possible purpose could I have for having this, right? Like, this is just, why would I mean, I could do something with this, but, you know, like, why would I? Why any of this? Okay, I think this is the one. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, this is the one, I think. I grabbed this one because it had like the full hospital stuff on it, but we can just kind of mod that in to a ordinary cot like this one. The cool thing about CSP's 3D stuff is that it lets you preset the angles quite well. And even failing that, you can also just go into the little wrench there, and you can just manually control, not manually control, you can just control the camera through statistics. So I think if I use the focal point where the camera is looking, nope, camera position, Would it be the z-axis? Oh, yeah. Okay, why... I don't need to know why it flipped like that, but if I... Nope. 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 Where are we? Why are we in the eclipse? Okay, there we go. Sometimes it feels like everything is just such a federal fucking issue for no goddamn reason. I shouldn't cuss that much. I'm just trying... this is a perfectly normal statement. I shouldn't have to cuss this much. I actually recently learned of a podcast. I've been listening to a couple of new podcasts, hoping to find one that'll scratch the itch that I've gained. But one of the ones that I've really enjoyed listening to in this search is one that's called Futility Closet. And sadly, the podcast has wrapped up. It is no longer... there are no longer new episodes, but there are... hang on. Object list. This thing. Can I just select a root node? Yes. Okay. So we're gonna make this a little bit more squat. And then I think... hang on. What's this looking like? Okay, so we should be able to see the bars at the top at least. So I think we're going to need to work on the camera a little bit. So camera lens. Just a little more. That should do it. Okay, and what we can do from here is that we can use convert to lines and tones. And the cool thing about this is that I've been abusing this feature a lot in that it's just very useful to have just the ability to just create a random 3D object in the background. Emphasize outline. We can do way less than that, I think. It's looking a little bit messy right now. No. I think what might be easier is to just like dumb this down in terms of opacity. And just take a crack at it with a symmetry ruler. I think that would be a good idea. Let's do that. Too many lines of symmetry. Let's reduce that. Oh yeah. Those of you who followed the notifications regarding like the... yeah, I do apologize for ¿cómo se dice? Delaying stream. It's so weird. There are a lot of words that I know in English that I don't remember in Spanish, or like that I'm not familiar with in Spanish as I am in English. But there are some words that I remember in Spanish super, super, super easily and cannot for the life of me remember them in English. And one of those is the word for delay, which is retrasar. I always remember retrasado and stuff like that. Maybe it's because I went on planes a lot as a kid. I don't know. That's actually really funny. Yeah, no, I've been on all my experiences as a child are related to flying on planes, and they were not very good planes on account of the fact that I have the word delay memorized in my Spanish vocabulary. Why? Huh. Oh, could it be because I moved this? I think that might be it. That might be why, yeah. And now we have a double line here somewhere? I don't think we need to make it that drastic, though. There we go. The main thing is going to be the pillow, which we can just knock out right now. And the bars. Now, because we have a reference, the bars are not going to be as difficult as if we had to do them ourselves, because we can just follow the reference. This is also kind of why I am a data hoarder. And I mean, I'm a data hoarder in general is the thing. I don't have like a particular thing where I'm like, oh no, these are gonna be super useful. I have like a, it's gotten to the point where I've considered buying a NAS just to have the ability to store everything on site forever as I so desire. Okay, I think somewhere around here would be good for the side handles on the bed. Let's take a look at the original panel. Okay. Yeah, I think we should be fine. They're a little bit unlevel. So I think we can just fix that real quick. It shouldn't take too much effort. God. It really is just baffling how much insane shit happens in Baki and how much of it is, in context, actually fairly reasonable. Like, out of context, and not to mention, like, the more you dig into it, it's like, the more depth, the more richness there is within that context. Right? So out of context, this dude is missing a leg. And you would go, well, how did he end up missing that leg? And you would go, oh, he lost it because he tried to use kung fu in a fight against a guy with a sword. And that's like the level 1 understanding of it. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. You know, you don't go. That's kind of on him for showing up to a fight with kung fu and no sword against a guy with sword and possibly also kung fu. Like, at that level 1 understanding within that context, it makes perfect sense. And then you're like, wait, but why was the other guy using a sword? Are they like martial artists? And then you would say, oh no, it's because it's the reincarnation of Miyamoto Musashi. And then you'd be like, pause. What do you mean? Hey, is this like not totally symmetrical? There's something screwy going on here. On the other hand, I could just redraw this line here, and that should fix that. Yeah, there we go. And I think the only other thing to do is also to, if we go back to the original page, I think adding the panel borders here would be a big help for just like adding some humor to it. We can also just stop using the reference and also the symmetry lines. The bed reference, I mean. We're still gonna hang on to the drawing reference a little bit longer. Also, I drew this bed way too crooked. There we go. Okay. I've also had a little bit of shading on the brain because I've recently done that Gurren Lagann eye catch for V. I'm really glad that I managed to finish that project. I've always wanted to do something like that, but I've never had like the, you know, and this is true for a lot of projects, right? You're like, oh, but there was never a good time. I never really like got around to it. But so I'm glad that I did have an opportunity to just like take a weekend and be like, okay, yeah, let's just do this thing. I don't know, it feels very cathartic. I hate leaving a task unfinished, so it felt really good to finally get that done. Or rather, to try it at least once, right? Because more than anything, I wanted to try it. You know, it's like that one friggin' Naruto meme that was like, to test my abilities. Alright, so here's what let's do. I'm going to wand select the inside of these squares. I'm going to apply that as a mask to this layer underneath. And then we can go to town on just finishing the actual stuff in the panel. So let's do that. I think this one's going to be especially funny because of the fact that I also... my head is just easily detachable. Oddly enough, for someone who keeps his calm quite easily, I have a bad tendency of losing my head. God, ever since I read, I think it's like Camelot in Fate Grand Order, where there's like one of the characters was decapitated by one of the other characters, but because he had like so much magical sauce and whatnot, it just like did not affect him. Like he was still very much decapitated, but he just like was able to continue carrying on. And the funniest part is that you don't even realize he's decapitated until he leans over a little bit too much and his head literally just like falls off his shoulders and he's like, and it's like, did you guys see that? Like he like instead of like his head falling off, it was like he forgot to he forgot to like zip up his fly or something. I don't know. I think that's real. I don't know why that scene stuck out to me so much. Like, there's a lot of insanely good moments in the chapter of Camelot, but I remember that one the most out of anyone. Okay, and then we can just switch to this one. This is such a ridiculous fucking image. Yes. Oh yeah, I was talking about that podcast that I've been listening to recently. Futility Closet. So the general structure of the episode is that they have 3 parts to the episode. The first part is a brief summary of a historical event, figure, or just random occurrence. So, for example, one of the ones that I listened to today was this one on the Leatherman, which was this really weird guy. A lot of people think he might be like French Canadian. He was notable for making a circuit around a which was it? Hang on, I forgot the area. But if you Google Leatherman, hang on, Leatherman person. Yeah, here we go. Hang on, let me pull up a picture of this guy. Here we go. Leatherman. Born Jules Bourglet, but that's unconfirmed. That's very important. We never knew who exactly this guy was. But yeah, he was a vagabond famous for his handmade leather suit of clothes, traveling through the northeastern United States on a regular circuit between the Connecticut River and the Hudson River. So this circuit took like 34 days or so, yeah, and he returned to each town roughly every 34 days, and he would just keep wandering around the circuit. He would just sleep in different caves and different like little shelters that he had. You might notice that that his clothes are all very much patched up. His name comes from the fact that he wore an all leather suit, and apparently the reason that it looks so patchwork like this is because these are like the leather tubes off of boots. So he would just like take those leather tubes off of the boots and he would just like sew them together to make this outfit of his. And apparently it says that it weighed 33 kilograms. I don't know if they have that here. They said on the podcast. But yeah, very strange person, particularly because he just never spoke very much. Nobody really knows where he came from, why he was wandering around like that, or even like what his name was. But, you know, he was just around and he was a very peaceful person and didn't really bug other people very much unless, he never like scared anyone, he never tried to spook anybody. He was just like a random dude who just happened to be very, very charming. But yeah, that's the story of the Leatherman. So that was the one of the episodes that the historical segment of one of the episodes that I listened to today. And then they have two more sections. They have one for reader correspondence and mail. So, if back when they were still airing or creating new episodes, a reader might say, "Oh yeah, I live in the area that this episode took place in, and I have like this insight into it," or I remember hearing about this incident when I was a child, but I never really managed to look into it very much. But now that I've had the opportunity, here's some things that you guys missed. I look way too much like the Eraserhead baby in this frock thing. Or I guess it's just a full load of bandages, but still, that's... The resemblance to the Eraserhead baby is very much uncanny. But yeah, I think that's it for the... I mean, I could do one more thing. Hang on. I kind of want to do one more thing. Let's do one more thing. Oh, yeah. I was mentioning the podcast, right? Because after the reader mail section, they also have one more section, which is something that they call lateral thinking puzzle. So what this section entails is that each of the hosts, and they take turns on this, they come with a riddle for the other host, and the riddle can be answered using yes or no questions, but it's all just kind of a very roundabout. None of them have straightforward solutions. A lot of them have very roundabout methods to solve them. And I think in the Leatherman episode, it might have been the Leatherman episode, or it might have been another one that I listened to a little while before I... Excuse me, I had to sneeze and I wanted to mute real quick. The one that I listened to during the Leatherman episode was a very interesting one. Hang on, tile. Right, we're still in small objects. What's all materials? There we go. Oh, perfect. Or wait, hang on. Let's look up tile. Oh, it's already in there. Perfect. This one will do, I guess. Let's see. Object, skew, scale, and rotate. Here we go. Okay, and what we're going to do is that we are going to duplicate this. We're going to rasterize it. And then we are going to do tonal correction, binarization. And just make it so the very, very, very barest of traces of the tile. Not that much. Closer, further. Is this really all we have? I feel like I downloaded something. Nope. What's frustrating to me is that it shouldn't be very difficult to make a grid, but it is somehow. I don't know. Something about the kind of effort involved always gets me. What the hell is alpha threshold? Close enough. What we can do to smooth it out is to just use a rough eraser. Let me tell you, it does not feel like we have had just one weekend. Or rather, it's the opposite. I do not feel like I've had a weekend's worth of rest. Although that might have been on me. The whole project for the Gurren Lagann eye catch thing was very... What the hell? Rasterize? No, convert layer. Type, raster layer, expression color. There we go. Oh yeah, we should also probably do convert brightness to opacity, just so that it doesn't bug the bed as much. But yeah, the Gurren Lagann stuff took up far more time than I expected it to. Like, I do feel like I underestimated just how much work went into learning the shading method for it, but I do feel I am very satisfied with the result. It really chafes sometimes that I don't know how to animate. I feel like I should learn how to animate, but I know that that's like that is like almost as significant of an ask as trying to learn how to make music was. Because even though it's still art and I still fundamentally understand art, it's such a different ball game. I don't know, it just feels like a little bit hard to wrap my head around to some extent. But I guess that it sounds like this when you really need your courage. Okay, yeah, this'll... Do you ever, like, step back for a second? You know, really take stock of your own situation and realize something that you've been working on is kind of ridiculous? Just a little bit. Ay. I mean, I don't know. It's not a bad thing necessarily to just appreciate your own work, I suppose. But it's like, this one, like this? Really? This? Although I guess I should be happy to just have something to work on, right? There's lots of people who have like artist block. That's never something that I particularly experienced because I do treat coming into stream like clocking in. So even if I'm not particularly feeling motivated to draw, it's like, nah, man, you're on the clock. You gotta, you know, time theft. Okay, sure, whatever. But you have to do something, right? You gotta show up and do at least one thing today. So for that reason, I always counted myself very lucky. I've never had art block in the sense that I didn't know what I wanted to draw. I have so many ideas about what I want to draw. And I've almost like increased the nascent talent that I had for that. I've kind of boosted my own capabilities for that. Because I have, you know, just hanging out in V's server, I usually just like make a super quick image edit, or I draw super quickly to make a joke. And I think because of that, my brain has become wired in some kind of fucked up response that like, oh hey, somebody said that they wanted to see this or that. Hey, why not hop in and do it yourself and make that person happy? And it's not a bad thing, really. If you think about it, it's really good that I have this desire to, create things. But at the same time, I can't help but feel a little bit worried. A little bit worried about... I don't know. I guess it'll only run out if I ever just completely lack an audience. I think at that point, that's when I can start freaking out about it, but no sooner. No sooner am I allowed to start freaking out about, like, losing my motivation to draw. I don't know. I've just been really lucky. I feel like I've drawn a lot, but not in such a way that will incur burnout. I don't think I've ever felt particularly burnt out with just my structure for drawing. I usually feel like I'm at a pretty good clip. Not particularly struggling with the amount of workload that I give myself. So I think that's been one of like the biggest things that has saved me in just like streaming and drawing, is that I vary it enough that I don't particularly feel like I'm burnt out. I think I only really burn out when... Well, no, let's not tempt fate like that. I feel like if I say something like I only really burn out when it's something I don't want to do, I'll start burning out like really, really quickly, just to prove the point that no, it wasn't exclusive to those kinds of situations. I will say the kind of things that I've been up to recently off stream and the ones that I've been taking care of, on the days that I don't stream, have been piling up a little bit, and they're probably the closest thing to burnout that I've experienced. It's not really burnout so much as it is just a tremendous frustration with it. But, that's still not burnout, so I guess that's something to be happy about to some extent. It's gonna come back to bite me in the ass trying to be this cryptic and discreet about it. Because I feel like one day the floodgates are just gonna open, and I should have been like, man, I should have just said normal shit instead. I should have just like not brought it up. But, well, you know how it is. It's kind of difficult to keep your feelings in check sometimes. I don't know. There's something comforting about like real... And this is going to sound really bad, right? And it's not a style of thinking that I think should be encouraged, but there's something comforting about letting other people see that you're in pain, that you are struggling. There's something cathartic about like being like, hey, I'm not in a good place right now. And obviously that's going to vary with your life experience as well. I don't think it's good to do too often, at least, because I guess I just don't want to enable that kind of thinking for myself, if that makes sense. I want to be a tough guy. I very desperately want to be like a tough guy, but even tough guys have the moments where they crack. This is all to say that after I finish this off-stream obligation, it's literally going to be like, my life is going to be that one fuck-ass picture of like a dolphin jumping out of the ocean with like rainbows and stuff in the background. Bet on it. Count on that shit. Look forward to it. Please look forward to it. That's when I feel I'll really get my groove back. Once I have fulfilled my obligations one way or another with this, that's when I feel like I'll have the capacity to be normal again. I'm very lucky that I do that. All that being said, I am very lucky that I have people who will hear me out when I say that I'm having problems. There is... I remember reading this one kind of person's conversation that they had with someone where they realized that even though that they could speak about what was troubling them or like their trauma and whatnot, they realized that they actually kind of struggled at being vulnerable because you know, at that point, it's like a story that they told rather than like discussing their real feelings and how it impacted them. So I do think that having that ability to be vulnerable and just really speak your mind about something with limited judgment is just such a precious thing to have. So I'm really grateful that I have my family to kind of like be my rock for me in that regard. A lot of people don't have that benefit, and it's I hope they have something like it at least. You know, everybody deserves to have someone that they can just like talk about and say, yeah, no, I am not having fun right now. You know what might work up here, actually, is if I just select these, expand by 1 pixel, and then I hit them with the foreground to transparent beam. Or maybe even, can I use the watercolor brush here? Would that be appropriate? Okay, gonna need to lower the density or the... Do we have the density? There should be a density thing somewhere around here. No, there's just opacity. Whitewash? Whitewash looks kind of interesting. Okay, let's try this. Okay, just make that nice big scribble. May increase the brush size a little bit as well. I will say that learning how to do this hair scribble is probably something that's going to be on the docket because I don't feel particularly confident in my own abilities with it at the time of streaming. I was about to say at the time of writing, but we're not really writing here, are we? Let's see. That's looking kind of nice. I'm enjoying that. Let's try to keep gambling a little bit. Hang on. Let's use the lasso tool. Oh yeah, and also just expand by 1 pixel. Expanding and retracting with Clip Studio Paint is genuinely definitely among the items that I definitely feel like that I feel like has really improved my own kind of capabilities of the program, just understanding how to manipulate that to achieve what I want. And you could say that about a lot of different capabilities of CSP. But I feel like for this one in particular, it just feels very noteworthy in just how much I use it for all kinds of different things. Like, for example, I use it for metal shading. I use it for... Yeah, so for example, in metal shading, I use it to just leave a small gap in between like the edge of the metal and where I want to draw the highlight and everything, or like the shadow of the reflection within the metal, and it gives it a very nice chromy look that I really enjoy. That I think helps to identify it as metal very easily. I could be wrong, but I do believe that it helps to just add it as a texture. I do also think it would be to my benefit to add sort of a similar highlight thingy to the hair here. I really miss her hair tentacles. I've said this before, but the other day I caught myself missing live Ina streams so much that I friggin' artifacted a JPEG of her. Like it's like I just threw it into CSP and I was like, all right, yeah, no, compress until she was very low resolution. I don't even know what to call that. That's like some kind of like weird advanced kind of level of missing Yoroshi. To be perfectly clear, none of this is normal, but that one felt especially strange. It's something that I've noticed as well, right? A lot of people are like, wow, where does cover find, you know, like regarding the talents in different streaming agencies, it's like, wow, where does Niji-Sanji get of these friggin' weirdos from? And, you know, they joke about it, but like in reality, and I do think this is something that is super important to come back to. Nobody normal would choose to stream like this unless they had like a specific goal in mind. You know, there are, like, I'm not going to say there aren't normal VTubers. There are people who are normal who are also VTubers. But just because of, like, the prerequisite knowledge and degree of, like, online-ness that you need to be to even, like, stumble into the concept, let alone participate in it, it's like a barrier to entry in like the capital sense, but instead of like needing money, it's almost like you need to have like a certain degree of being online to kind of thrive in this environment. Hang on, I need to turn off my orange lighting so I can see what's going on more clearly. Because I feel like something about this part back here is just not working. I think I know what's up. I need to also add more lines going down through here. It reminds me a little bit of like an onion. Or a shallot. Wait, wait, no. Shallots are the ones that are like onions. I was thinking about scallops. I don't know why, but I very easily remember the phrase scalloped potatoes. It's just such a very... I don't even know what to call it. Like, it's a very phrase kind of phrase. That's absolutely hang on. Let me try that again. That was absolutely nothing. That gave zero information. In fact, I think it might have actually made the point I was trying to communicate less clear. It has the phrase scalloped potatoes just has a good mouthfeel, if that makes sense. It's got like the right amount of syllables. Every so often you stumble into a word that it's like, oh yeah, no, they knew what they were doing when they were making this one. This shit was not just something that was chosen on a whim. This one was like calculated. This one had a good launch strategy. I feel like scalloped potatoes is just one of those. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, we need to just... I think just integrating more of the highlights like this is going to be sufficient. Although... I want to try something as well. Hang on, let me see if this works. Using this brush here. And if I just blended this part... It feels like a waste after spending that much time trying to make the direction of the hairlines clear, but you know, it's not anything that we can't fix easily. Like, see, there we go. We're already back online. Yeah, and there we go. Sometimes it's very difficult because I like the way that like gradient shading looks, but at the same time, there's something about it that just makes more sense to me when it's cell shaded. It's hard for me to put into words. But sometimes I'll focus too much on making something look smooth and then just realize, wait a minute, I could have just like cell shaded this and it would look 1,000 times better. And that's not always true, but it does happen with enough frequency that I'm like, all right, shouldn't that like sometimes I do have to just take a step back and be like, all right, this is one of those situations. Do I rock with this or not? Oh yeah, the rice did finish cooking. I haven't gotten a chance to taste it. It's currently... I'm currently leaving it to cool down a little bit. But it'll probably be done cooling once I'm finished with stream. But it's... I tried doing something new with it. I tried to be a little bit brave, and I added some chickpeas to the rice that I was cooking inside the rice cooker. Now, I love chickpeas as a thing, right? Like, this is not me being like, oh no, I don't really... vegetables are yucky. I want to try and be brave and eat them. You know, this is not one of those situations. I've been eating vegetables. I've been cooking vegetables. Vegetables are like nothing to me. Vegetables are dinner. But I do get nervous trying to break off of the recipe in a lot of the cases. So, for example, if I have to, you know, and maybe it is because I have more background in baking than in cooking. So in baking, you're not really supposed to improvise to any significant extent. But, you know, sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I guess I could add some more water since this is looking a little bit dry. And other times it's like, what do you mean I can just like throw chickpeas in my rice cooker along with my rice to cook them? And I did double check. This does, like, it just does seem to work, which is baffling to me. Not offensive, mind you, but just kind of baffling that it really is just that easy. You can just dump chickpeas into whatever rice you're cooking, and you know, you'll just have chickpeas and rice. It's just that easy. But it just feels wrong because I've only ever cooked rice. That's not true, actually. When I cook my rice with a rice cooker, I try to focus on just cooking the rice rather than exploring the possibility of like adding additional... Pardon me. Additional components to the equation, if that makes sense. You know, I'm not really interested in being like, ooh, I bet we can add this, I bet we can add that. That way lies disaster. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's going to end up tasting bad, and you're going to feel bad having to eat it, but you're not going to be able to throw it out because it's still edible. I don't know. I feel like it's been very rare for me to cook something that is genuinely unedible or so unpalatable that I'm like, all right, no, let's just throw this out. 80% of the time, I'm able to bring it back somehow. The only time that I've thought, the most recent one that comes to mind, and in this case, I don't think I even actually properly threw it out, was this stew that I made myself in a crock pot that I bought. I don't even remember when I bought the crock pot. I think I bought it a little into last winter. Sometime around that time, last fall possibly. And I was like, all right, here's what let's do. We're gonna become a crock pot guy. We're gonna learn how to make like a bunch of delicious meals in the crock pot. It'll be set it and forget it. It's gonna be awesome. We'll do that. And then it was not in fact awesome. I found that I had to like, because the water where I live is very hard, I had to descale the fucking crock pot. Otherwise, is that what the right word? Descale? Descale different Keurig coffee maker. Descale a Keurig. You should descale a Keurig every 3 to 6 months. Blah blah blah. Oh, no, okay, it does seem to be specifically for a coffee machine. Descaling Keurig mini series. Add your descaling liquid or powder mixed with water to the water reservoir. Place a large mug on the drip tray and make sure there are no pods in your machine. Do not fucking ask me to subscribe to your newsletter. I will hit you. Place a large mug on the drip tray and make sure that there are no pods in your machine. To perform the cleansing cycle, lift and lower the handle, making sure to select the biggest brew size. Repeat this process until the add water alert is illuminated. Leave your machine to rest for 30 minutes, and after the rest period, rinse out the reservoir and fill to max with fresh water. Repeat the cycle 12 times to ensure all the descaling solution is removed. That sounds like a real pain in the ass. And also not what I'm thinking of. 12 times? Seriously? I really despise these pod-based machines. And I also just... Hang on. Hold on. Pause. K-Duo series... Oh, wait. No, I get it. It's called a K-Duo because they've got a traditional coffee machine side and a pod machine side. I don't know. My family had a pod machine when I was in high school, and I did use the hell out of it. Mind you, this is not coming from a purely from a place of hypocrisy. But after that stint was over, I was like, man, pod coffee machines kind of suck shit, don't they? I mean, I get it on the one hand, right? It's just like sometimes you don't need to brew a whole pot of coffee sometimes, and it'll go to waste if you know, like for an office setting, right? I can understand to some extent the appeal of a pot machine because, you know, not everybody's going to drink a whole pot of coffee, and at the end of the day, you're going to have to throw it out. It's just more work for either you or the janitorial staff. I get it, all right? I understand why it would be useful in that scenario, but like on a consumer level, if on a consumer level, it was like you have to buy a Keurig or you are out of luck for getting coffee. Your ass will need to walk to the nearest Tim Hortons. At that point, I would be angry. Like I always, and this does have some caveats, right? I always prefer things that I can reuse for a long time to things that I have to pop a single time. And again, there are exceptions to this, right? Like, for example, a while back, I actually had to use disposable cutlery, right? I used disposable plates and disposable spoons and forks and whatnot because during like a tropical storm or something that passed by near where I live, they were like, yeah, no, you are probably not going to have water for a while if this thing is as bad as we expected. So stock up on like plates and stuff. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever you say, weather authority. So I did that, and you know, obviously the tropical storm was not nearly as bad as anybody was expecting, which I think is a good thing. I don't think it's indicative of any greater, I guess, trends. It's good that it wasn't as bad as we thought, but it doesn't mean it couldn't have been that bad. But I digress. During this time, I did end up using the disposable cutlery and the disposable plates, and I was like, yeah, okay, we already have the pack open, and it's gonna be fucking forever until we have to reuse. You know, we have to do something with the disposable cutlery. You know, there's probably not going to be a good opportunity to use these coming up anytime soon, from what I can tell. So let's just get through using them. And I did use them. I did use them for a little while, and they worked, but it's like it just felt very undignified. It felt very, and obviously, right, it felt very impermanent. So it was after a while, like at first it was like, yeah, I don't need to do dishes. But after a while, it was like I felt like I was like seeing the Bloodborne insight thing pop up at the bottom right of my vision. This highlight needs to be longer. Okay, may use the milli pen for this section here. Perfect. Just zigzagging the pen works well enough to just establish a chunk of it. But I find that, just doing like flicks outward like this is useful to just avoid just having these blunt edges. And that's especially a problem with my brush in particular. Like you might not run into this problem a lot if you use a more normal brush. But because my brush has like a lot of stuff related to minimum thickness, it often ends up having situations like this. Well, it is what it is. Okay. Blend it out. Hey, just the bottom part? Yeah, that'll work. Although maybe... Hang on. I have an idea. Select. Color gamut, this one right here. I do wonder if we might be able to maybe turn the hue around a little bit. So that it's so more towards like the original colors for Ina. That feels pretty good. How does it look with the shawl? I like it. I do like how it looks with the shawl. All right. We still have like quite a bit to get through actually. Let's focus on locking in. Okay. I do wonder why they kind of like turn into rectangles sometimes, the use of the fill tool. Again, I blame the closing gap thingy, but other than that, I don't really know why it might be caused. Do I have area scanning set to 2? Yes, I do. Alright, that's going to be a problem. Let's just put that back down. Okay, and I think just for this section over here, we're going to use the soft eraser. So expand this by 1 pixel. And maybe expand the selection up here too. And just for good measure, let's just add a tiny, tiny, tiny little line right above the fan. Okay. Then, additionally, I think we can actually push it just a tiny bit further. And just add a little bit extra shading right... Hang on. And add just a tiny little bit extra oomph up here. The problem is, I need it to not look like eyeshadow. And I'm not entirely sure how to do that. Although maybe we can just add some eyeshadow as a treat. I think it would look good here, actually. Hang on. Making an executive decision. Okay, yeah, that's heat. Let's I'm glad I tried that. Uh-oh. The program chugged for a second. I didn't know what was going on, but thankfully it just kept going on as usual. Keep fighting, soldier. The battle isn't over yet. It would also be a good opportunity to start shading the eyes. I forget, do Ina's eyes have like anything super weird about them? I remember they were like a very pretty shade of blue. Hang on. Nino mai Ina niece. No, they just blue. Okay, then over here. And we can just add a little bit of texturing to the eyelash here. Is there really nothing we can do to just... Oh, wait, no. This might work. Hang on. Just a tiny bit darker up here. And I think one more thing we can do before moving away from the eyes and moving on to the juggernaut that is the hat. Just a tiny bit of blue shading on the upper half. Okay. Looking nice. All right. Now the hat. Or actually, something else I should do is just take care of the Ben-Day dots. Now that we're done with the face, we're done with the face, I think. We do not need to return to it henceforth, I don't believe. So before we move on to the face, I think we should try to sort out these huge Ben-Day dots on the... Well, they're not Ben-Day dots, they're just halftone. Because Bende is specifically a technique for printing rather than just the dots themselves. Okay, let's see. We're gonna need to select the, hang on. We're gonna need to select the bottom half here too. Expand by 1. Okay. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to use... first we're going to hit it with the airbrush tool. And then we are going to apply this as a halftone layer. Okay, yes, frequency much lower. Higher than that. And then for the color, we want like this nice off purple color. So maybe the one that would work is the one that's on the sleeves here. Okay. Now, can someone tell me where we went wrong? Because this is an interesting pattern. Did I accidentally add a... No, that should be fine. Okay, no, there we go. Now we're cooking. Okay. This should be at more or less the right scale. So now what we have to do is just use the soft eraser to kind of walk it back in terms of like the population of it. So maybe we can actually we don't even need the soft eraser, come to think of it. We can increase the frequency, decrease the opacity, and just kind of keep a... Hold on. Trying to find a good balance for this. Maybe we can use the gradient erase just a tiny bit. We don't know how far it extends down the side, but I assume it can't be very far. There we go. Can we rasterize this? All right, nice. Okay, maybe multiply or something? Lighten, overlay, screen, color. Glow? No. Okay, overlay seems like it might be our ticket. Hang on. Saturation, luminosity. Gonna need to bring out the big guns a little bit. Hang on. Let me pull out brightness and contrast. That'll do for now. Or actually... That's more accurate, I think, to the picture. But that leaves the question of how do we make this look more... Hang on. Here's what let's do. I'm going to copy and paste this so that we have the backup for managing the Bend-Aid dots a little bit more. And I'm just going to lower the opacity of these a tiny bit. And I think that should do it for that. And I'm also now just realizing that we also have some dots up here near the top of the hat. So maybe we should take care of those first as well. Let's do those then, just real quick. The good thing about these is that we can also control kind of, if it makes sense, petal by petal. I think that's a pretty good benefit. There we go. Let's call these halftone. Just so I don't forget about it. Alright, now we can move on to the hat. I hope this next section isn't too exciting. Because I could really use an easy win right now before we move on to the background. Oh god, the background. On the bright side, the background might give me an opportunity to use some of the patterns that I've recently downloaded. So we'll have to... I think it's good to keep not exactly an optimistic mind, but definitely an open mind. Like, it could suck, but there's also a chance that it might not suck. And I'm willing to take that chance. Okay, and then back here. No, something about that doesn't seem quite right. But this feels better. Alright, let's do that. And then just extend this a little bit more. Good evening, are you eating well this weekend? You may have rice for a noggin, yet I'm the one who's food-brained. That's a good one. I do feel like I'm going to be eating very well after stream. I cooked up some frozen gyoza, and I have those ready to rock whenever I get peckish, and I also made some rice with chickpeas. So I have, so you know, you have your protein, you have the fiber, you have some other protein, you have your carbohydrate. I feel like I'm going to be eating pretty well with that. I don't have particularly high standards for eating well. I am a very easily satisfied bag of rice. Okay, we can just add the shading here. What I'm tempted to do is I'm tempted to just grab these individually and then just hit them with the gradient erase from the outside like this. But that's going to look strange after a while. I think it's better to just approach it with the good old cell shading. I might change my mind. I'm able to change my mind. But how are you doing, Jupiter? Are you enjoying your weekend? Let's add this and that. I did a grilled lunch meat type turkey and bacon sandwich and it was good. Oh. That does sound pretty good. I do wish that it was easier to grill or fry individual slices of ham. I do wish that it was more accessible and easy to do that, because a little bit of just like pan fried ham with egg, you know, like egg and ham, pretty good. Egg and pan fried ham, that's on another level, and it takes so little effort to elevate it like that. Did a okay, BLT plus extra turkey plus C, cheese plus mustard. That does sound really good. Your sandwich game, you've definitely brought your A game to the sandwich, I feel, which is important. It's very hard to do a bad sandwich. I feel like but doing a good sandwich, it's one of those things that has a low skill floor but a high skill ceiling. You know, a lot of people are like, you know, the quality of like the fried egg or scrambled egg that a chef can make can tell you a lot about their skill level. I want to say that those guys need to start making more sandwiches. I do feel like if you can make a mean sandwich, you show a good kind of knack for ingredients. And avocado, very nice. I'm personally still not 100% sold on adding avocado to sandwiches. I am not yet fully there. I can see the vision. It's not something that I would do regularly, but I don't really eat avocado regularly either, is the thing. So I don't know, maybe if you're more of an avocado head than I am, it will come naturally to you. I should eat more avocado because I hear that it's very good for your... It's got like a bunch of good stuff for you, but you know how it is. Okay, back here. There we go. I feel like avocado toast can help a poorly feeling stomach. Might have to look into that. My stomach feels pretty good, but I've had this weird... How do I call it? Almost like a reverse craving, if that makes sense. Or no, I guess it's not a reverse craving. It's almost like a reverse... Like, it doesn't feel bad, it just feels like I am missing some kind of thing that I should be eating. That plus apple served separately. Yeah, no, I don't. I would have to agree with you there. I don't imagine that an apple can add much to avocado toast. The day that I learned that you can mix apples with meat was a pretty big one in terms of just like me figuring out cooking stuff. I feel like the day that you realize that you can add apple to meats, and you know that actually pairs very well with some of the meats. So, for example, pork with apple is a very good combo. And I think the day that you learn that is when you really start unlocking some real higher level tech with cooking. At least when it comes to pairing ingredients together. These shadows are too harsh. Let me just get back here and add a thingy here. There's some kind of unique individual out there that decided to do some kind of goat cheese, apple, candied walnut, avocado toast in order to feel something. God. At least I imagine. No, that's definitely... In my experience, that guy definitely exists. but it might have been less so that he's just trying to feel something and more just trying to just be like, all right. He's just like looking desperately into his own fridge, hungry as hell and no idea what to cook. And it's like, all right, apples, avocado, goat cheese, and candied walnuts. Avocados, goat cheese, candied walnuts, apples. We're on the brink of something incredible here. I can feel it. And he's just like trying to psych himself up to kind of like brave this culinary disaster that he's making. Recipe bloggers trying to reinvent the wheels. It's tough. It's tough being a recipe blogger nowadays. I feel. You know, back in the day, you could just like grab some shit from a random cookbook and be like, "Yeah, no, this is what I've been using for years and years." But like nowadays, you got motherfuckers fact checking you, like they think they're going to be the next H bomber guy, and you got people who are like, "Hey, this isn't really working for me. I substituted the egg with vegan specifically like crustacean allergy triggering cheese. Is that going to be a problem?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, sister, that's going to be a problem. It asked for eggs. Why did you do all that?" I feel like the risk, I think, that comes with being a recipe blogger, because I do think there is some risk with being a recipe blogger, is the fact that you have to you have to like deal with your audience being recipe blogger readers. If that makes sense. Like, you need to be not only prepared to see some real dumbass takes, but you also need to be prepared to deal with people whose main goal is to read about recipes outside of a cookbook. And I don't know, I feel like that's just a very dangerous kind of person to have to be in the radar of. Definitely feels like you're throwing yourself on a grenade for no reason. If I was a recipe blogger, I'd just lie. I have found a couple of recipe blogs that I did actually like. I specifically remember that I made a Tumblr account because I wanted to save the recipes or browse through the recipes of this one recipe blog on Tumblr that is, I'm pretty sure, still very much inactive. Might even have been deactivated by this point. I don't know. Was it called Feast of Fiction? Hang on. No, this is a different one. Feast of Fiction is like a bunch of different other dudes. But yeah, no, I did enjoy reading it, mainly because they were Tumblr blogs. They didn't have like that huge preamble random bullshit that a lot of recipe blogs do. They're just like, yeah, no, this is a recipe that we wanted to come up with. This is how you do it. This is our reasoning. This is how it probably tastes if you follow the instructions. Yeah, go nuts. It was very refreshing. I feel like I've definitely talked about that recipe blog on the channel before. It's a very fond teenage memory for me, just trying to like make a bunch of different stuff from that blog. One of the ones that I remember was a big hit for me personally that I never ended up making ever again was this mushroom bread from, I think, one of the Myst games. Hi, Brenda. My children did not like the miso butterscotch white chocolate blondie cookies with the miso substituted with soy sauce and the white chocolate with margarine and the eggs with cheese. They currently have me tied to a pole like a witch about to burn, and I'm typing this with my toes. Anyway, I'm leaving you 2.5 stars. God. I just want to add the barest little bit of rim light to this ruffle. Okay, then just plug up this part here, and then... Okay, we've established a rhythm. I think we have a good idea of how to proceed with the shading for this one. Okay, there we go. I opened up my own Twitch live stream page earlier, and I don't like keeping too close of an eye. I've learned to tune it out when I am in... when I just have OBS on the side, because my display, you know, the kind of like picture-in-picture display that OBS gives you of your stream is very small for me, so it's very difficult for me to like see any meaningful detail. But I don't like having the Twitch one open because I can very clearly see my own little silly avatar bobbing up and down with every moment that I yap. God. Speaking of ratings, I remember there was this one post where some dude was like, "This doctor saved my life. 4 stars." It's like, and the doctor was like, "I have no idea how to get that 5th fucking star. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know what I need to do to get that 5th star." Like I saved this dude's life and he's still not giving me full points. Like what do I need? What do you want from me? Genuinely. Ooh, that's a little bit too much me for today. It's kind of like that. It's a little bit like that. More so, it's kind of like, you know how if you point a laser pointer at a cat, it'll just start like chasing that shit, like, and like its eye, even if it's like lying down or something, you can see its eyes tracking it. It's kind of like that. My eyes, and this is probably true for a lot of people as well, right? It's just very difficult for me to ignore movements that I see out the corner of my eye, especially when I'm not desensitized to it, kind of like I am with OBS. So having a tiny me in the corner there, just wigging out and trying to understand, okay, and just like in sync with my own talking. It's kind of the same reason why I can't seem to listen to myself while I'm recording. Like, I can listen to myself after I finish recording just fine. That is absolutely zero problems. I am 100% cool with that. But if I can hear myself talk during recordings, it's very, very distracting. Very similar principles in reality. If there are people who are comfortable like that, and again, I doubt that this is just a me thing. I do feel like it's probably pretty universal that most people have decent enough things where, like, if they see something moving in the corner of their vision, they get kind of distracted by it. Or if they also have trouble focusing when they can hear themselves talk at the same time as, like, when they're talking. But, hell, it's relevant. I'm not gonna... It's important to acknowledge that not every inconvenience you experience is unique. Sometimes it's just kind of like how it is. God, I cannot wait to eat those fucking dumplings. I can still smell them coming from my kitchen. I am like salivating a little bit. They have like this nice kind of like brothy taste to them. Those shits are gonna go down smooth. Oh yeah. I realize now that I've gone off topic on the original punchline of my joke of like this thing that I was talking about earlier, like 5 different times by now. So let me try and finish it up quickly as I can. So with that futility closet thing, they had a lateral thinking puzzle where they were like, okay, when you look a little bit too much at the stream and suddenly it's like looking at the mirrors facing each other, that's exactly how it is. That's exactly how it is. Okay, so this is a lateral thinking question from that Futility Closet podcast that I was talking about. So there is a mining town that employs a small pack of ponies. One day, a new religious group comes to town, and they have a lot of different tenets, but they are very much like a peace-loving. It is a peace-loving religion, and they've had a lot of success there. They convert a lot of the local people, including a lot of the miners. And then, after they convert the miners, the ponies stop working as well as they did before. And it turns out that the reason why, and this is a spoiler for the riddle if you want to solve it yourself, so plug your ears for the next 5 seconds. The reason why the ponies stopped working so efficiently is because the miners embraced pacifism and now no longer cuss or use profanity while managing the ponies. So the ponies are like, oh, he's not cussing, he's not saying God damn it anymore, so I guess we can just take a little bit of a chill pill. Alright. Spoilers over. I needed to finish telling that story. It always bugs me when I start telling a story midstream and then I just straight up forget what I was talking about. It bugs the hell out of me. I feel like I had an iPad baby moment. I'm glad that the phrase iPad baby is so popular in the modern lexicon, because I feel like iPad baby is a state of being. I feel like there are iPad babies who are probably very much lucid and capable of extensive concentration, but I do feel like it's just a good shorthand for someone who has kind of fried their ability to focus and retain information in a meaningful way. It's just a very good shorthand for that. The wandering meander, stepping 1 foot into town before seeing a cow and stepping out of bounds again. God. Yeah, no, it is very much because I'm the Yapatron 3000, and every other sentence I just trip over something new to ramble on about. It's a power that has served me well so far throughout the years, but it does have its downsides. All the world's strongest techniques have some recoil, and this is the recoil for this technique. You're able to smoothly guide the flow of conversation, but in exchange you'll never remember what the hell you were talking about 5 minutes ago. I lead others to treasures I cannot possess. My journey is very similar to the wandering meanderers. I do really miss just like being able to drop myself off somewhere for like 3 hours and just like, I used to do this thing in high school where I would just drop myself off at a random metro station and just wander around for the whole day and then go back home once like the sun started to set. I really enjoyed doing that. It's not very easy to do it where I live currently, because not because of any like. Well, no, actually, there is very much a danger. It is winter now, and it did snow the other day, so and my ass is very much on the chopping block if I'm caught lacking in the frosty north. However, even without the winter conditions, I do find it very difficult to just wander around and get lost in this particular city. Because outside of downtown, which is kind of small, there really isn't that much. A lot of the other areas are built very much like the suburbs where you need a car to get anywhere. it just feels very difficult to navigate, and especially not rewarding when it's like, okay, I've been wandering here. I've been wandering for 15 minutes. I've seen this whole place. I guess I'm going to get back on a bus and see where else I can go. Okay. And what I might do as well is just... Can I just hit this whole thing with a gradient erase? Hang on. Select, color gamut, this one. Oh, not on this layer. Select, color gamut, this one here. Okay, so here's the plan. Now that we're up here, we're just gonna use the gradient erase on this side of the hat. Maybe a little bit less than that. There we go. Just that way, just so it has the ability to more smoothly go from one kind of shadow to another. This is for some reason reminding me a lot of the portrait of Beatrice from Umineko. Hang on. I don't know why. It just reminds me. Why does this have Fine Art America watermark? Hold on, pause. What? What do you mean? Fine Art? Is this? Oh, I see. I was gonna ask. Okay, so this is just a place to just scroll. What the fuck? Tummy Twister is a painting by Gordon Fiona, which was uploaded September 23rd, 2022. I'm not gonna lie, Gordon. Not a big fan of this. Not a big fan of this one. Stop cooking. Yeah, no, these guys are definitely just like taking random pictures and just putting them on fucking whatever. That being said, the... the Beatrice phone case getting her fucking Mike Wazowski. This is how Battler should have popped back during the first episode. I will say that the Beatrice on the t-shirt would go insanely hard. I don't know. I think this one is kind of heat. You absolutely should not buy it from this particular website, it feels like. But this would be kind of a cool ass shirt to just have. This is so... Okay. Lock in. That threw me off so fucking bad. Alright. Alright, okay. Back to the painting. We cannot keep getting distracted like, what the hang on, what's this? Oh, this is okay, I remember this one. Right, we don't need this one though. And honestly, I don't think we need the tiny Ina ref off to the side here either anymore. I think we've grown beyond that. I think we've evolved. Got this one. Okay, so game plan for these ruffles is exact same thing we did for the ruffles upstairs, just smaller. It's nice that we can just make this kind of crab claw shape, and it'll work to create the shadows for these ruffles. I see it as a crab claw. I don't know, something about the curvature of it feels very crab-like to me. Which is odd, because if you think about it, crabs aren't particularly curved. I mean, you got those little bead eyes on the end of their eye stalks, which is definitely, should be considered, I feel, curved to some degree. But other than that, they're very much sharp creatures. They're between Kiki and Boba, those little fellows are definitely Kiki. That would be such a fascinating zoological classification system. Is this animal Kiki or is it Boba? Sheep? Boba. Crab? Kiki. Horned lizard? That's a Kiki. Friggin'... Those little chihuahuas that old women carry around in their purse? Yeah, that looks like a Boba to me. I feel like dogs are definitely like the ones that would have the most contentious Boba Kiki thing. Because we, as humans, can recognize a domesticated dog, but broadly speaking, the dog would not, like... You know, the dog has its own kind of implications in the animal kingdom. We should not be able to, you know, indiscriminately and independently say, oh yeah, the dog is Boba, this dog is Kiki, you know? I feel like the metrics for that would be quite difficult to pin down. This is that dessert conversation we had all over again. Like, what might be considered dessert for one person might not actually be dessert for another. Not to mention, in some regards, it's very difficult to differentiate a snack between a dessert. Okay. Yep. What is your favorite rice-based dessert? Ice cream mochi, hands down. Gotta be. Also, have you tried dessert soups? I have not tried dessert soups unless you count melted ice cream. Which I don't... which feels like it's probably not what you're talking about. But yeah, no. Favorite rice-based dessert has to be... ice cream mochi. I do also just like normal mochi as well, but ice cream mochi is just awesome. I don't know who had the idea to combine those two technologies, but we have all benefited from it greatly. Ice cream mochi is definitely top 5 kind of desserts. If ice cream mochi were in like some kind of power scaling discussion, it would definitely be kind of like the Goku of ice cream desserts to me. Like, it feels very difficult to beat it if the other rice desserts are involved. I'm not. The thing is that even though I am Latino and I have helped make Tres leches is not related to rice. Horchata and stuff. Well, no, I don't think I've helped make horchata, actually. There is like a rice-based dish that is a dessert. I recall that very distinctly. Hang on. Rice-based dessert dish. Giving Whis a pile of ice cream mochi. Oh, yeah, no. That would be the move, I think. It's like a rice pudding, yeah. Latin rice pudding. It had a name. Arroz con leche. That's why I was thinking of tres leches. It's arroz con leche. But yeah, no, I've never been a particular fan of arroz con leche either. Let me take a look at these dessert soups real quick. Strawberry rhubarb is coming up here. Oh, is this like a... creamy tapioca coconut dessert soup? These all look fairly innocuous. I would not be The type I usually think of are, say, Chinese. Hang on. Chinese dessert soup. Mmm. Okay, I'm kind of picking up what you're putting down. Huh. Chinese dessert soup with glutinous rice balls. I mean, it looks inoffensive. I could probably try it out. I will say the one that did offend me, not in regards of taste, although the taste might be a factor. I haven't tried it myself. Is acai bowls or acai bowls. I try to listen to this podcast about two dudes who called like Doughboys that talks a lot about like food and places where the hosts have eaten very frequently. And one of the places they were reviewing is an acai bowl place. Sad to say, acai bowls are good. I don't understand them conceptually. It just looks like you're eating a lot of oatmeal on top of like fruit jam, which I can see the appeal of, but I wouldn't say it's for me. You know, I would require additional convincing. I trust your judgment on the acai bowls being good. It is like a second-hand trust. You are vouching for acai bowls, and that has that has weight to me. But personally, it's like I don't see how this is meaningfully different from like yogurt. Okay, so it's more like a frozen smoothie. Okay. I did know that they were blended fruits, but I assumed it was more like a fruit mash than like, you know, at room temperature, no less, than like a frozen fruit puree. That, on the other hand, sounds much more appealing. Again, though, the issue circles back to like the actual texture of it. Is it like creamy? Do they blend it with milk, or is it just like raw dog sweet fruit pulp that has been blended? It is not thick or creamy like a dairy product. It is a specific frozen fruit that might be blended with a little bit of coconut water or something. Okay. You know, I that does dock it down a few points for me, I do think, because I especially if you eat it with like oatmeal or something, or like with other breakfast fruits thrown in there, I do feel like having that creamy element is very vital. You know, maybe perhaps I am 100% being influenced by my experiences with yogurt. I do enjoy a little bit of yogurt with granola. So like just blended frozen fruit is feels like it's a setup to be mid. I'm not saying it is mid. I'm saying that it is an unconvincing. I am unconvinced of its peakness. I guess I'll just have to try it myself at some point. I don't know. I don't think they have those here, particularly because it sounds like the fruit are very much like tropical thingies. In the podcast, they did mention that of the acai, the place where the founders of the restaurant that served acai bowls was in Hawaii. So I imagine it's a very tropical fruit. Just a big old pile of fruit. One might add a creamy nut butter or yogurt or something on that nature on top. Okay, that brings me back around again. Because if you have the option of just adding that creamy element, I'm back in. You've realigned the deal. You've realigned the nature of the deal. I might be motivated to tap back in. I will say having a fruit salad every now and again does help a lot with just hanging in there. I do think that because of the I have some trouble keeping fresh fruit in my house because I feel I am more afraid of the fruit going bad than I would like to admit. So very often I just buy like 2 or 3 apples and I'm like, okay, this much I can definitely finish. And I do often finish it. Pouring frozen yogurt on top of your acai, like hiding a dog spill in processed cheese. That might... God. Slander, I know. But yeah, I'll have to see. You know, it's one thing to hear and tell of the acai bowl. I do feel like this is definitely something I'm gonna have to verify for myself. So I'll have to double check in like a the takeout app or something if there is in fact a place nearby, or at least within the limits of the city that does acai bowls. Acai bowl places may also do other frozen fruit bases like mango, dragon fruit, etc., depending on where you go. You know, though, I will say that one of the biggest benefits of living where I live is that even though it's not a particularly large city, it does have. There are some because there are a bunch of bougie weirdos moved in at some point. They do have some bougie weirdo amenities, and an acai bowl place definitely sounds like a bougie weirdo amenity. I am sad to say. I know that is also in fact slander, but I must speak. Let me speak, Piccolo. The people need to hear this. I also feel like I have a small grudge about like acai bowls because they are not what I expected them to be. Because when these people were talking about the acai bowls and the origin of the restaurant that they went to, they mentioned that they started it up in Hawaii, and that they first tried acai bowls in Hawaii, and I thought that meant they would be like poke bowls, where it was like a savory food. So then, you know, I'm over here waiting to hear like where the meat is coming in, and suddenly it's like, oh yeah, no, it's just blended frozen fruit, and it's like, man, you really took the air out of my tires there. God, poke is so good. I was very hesitant to try it at first because this is back when I was still like very much like a picky eater, but then I had some, and I'm like, oh wow, this slaps. Yeah, no, I want some more of this. Serving you that watermelon marinated in soy sauce that's supposed to be somewhat similar to raw tuna. Man, it kind of bugs me how much weird shit you can do with soy sauce, actually. It's like that. There's like this one myth where if you have a nutsack, apparently your nutsack can taste things to an extent, and if you dip it in soy sauce, you can actually taste the soy sauce through the nutsack. And now I'm hearing this watermelon business about it tasting like raw tuna. Like, what kind of arcane shit is going on with the soy sauce? Is this just like what fermentation does to a motherfucker? I did hear, I think from an anime at one point that if you slather up a little bit of honey on some cucumber, it tastes a little bit like melon. I do remember one time I ended up buying a radish from the grocery store, like a Japanese style radish, and be like, all right, what do we do with this thing? Because I just wanted to buy it for the sake of buying it because it was like 30 cents to buy one. And I was like, damn, that's cheap as hell. And for a huge thing, I should get that. And so I did get that. But then like neither my mother didn't know what to cook with it. I didn't know what to do with it. I ended up like peeling it and eating it with honey. Which I feel like is absolutely some kind of food crime. It was not good. But you know, it went down eventually. I finished eating it at some point. This will get you 28 feet closer to better food. Mm-hmm. Weirdly enough, I did not feel 28 feet more energized. I do feel like that 28 feet thing might be false advertising. I think they might have overhyped the benefits a little bit. All of these goddamn ruffles. But it's okay. I think it'll be the ruffles, the inside of the hat, and then the background. And for the background, I have an idea, but it might take a little bit longer to finish. I think we're gonna be here for at least another hour or so, maybe another 40 minutes if we manage to haul ass and lock in. Okay. Let's do this, actually. Let me select the inside of these gaps that are very, very easily visible. And I think inside of those, we can add a little bit darker of a shadow. I do think it would be pretty funny if, similar to the Japanese radish statistic, because from what I understand, the way that they measure calories is to some extent estimates, but I do know that at least in like one biology class, they did teach me that they used to measure the amount of calories something would gain by essentially drying it out completely and then burning it to see how much energy it produced. So I do wonder if they had like a similarly cutthroat process for figuring out the number of steps that a Japanese radish could take you kind of statistic. There was one more thing that I wanted to do with these ribbons, but I forget what it was. All right, let's just apply the gradient erase to them. Okay, gradient erase. Wrong layer. There we go. That looks very nice. Okay, now for the inside of the hat. Actually, come to think of it, we should probably just add this to the background here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this kind of inside part of the hat. What are we doing with this? My first instinct is to just treat it like any old silk. Okay. It really is funny, though, to think of, like, where they got that 28 feet statistic. Like, what... like, I'm just imagining some kind of sitcom sketch bit where it's like, and so, are you sure you can't walk another 7? It's like, nah, man, I'm drained. I don't know what to tell you. I'm really hungry. I could use more energy. Come on, it's like 20, not even one more feet. You're at 28, man. Can you not do 29? And it's like, no, man, I'm telling you, I'm gassed. I got nothing left in the tank. It's 28 feet, I'm telling you. Like, the 28 feet thing definitely does feel like some kind of easily debunkable sort of statistic. I remember way back when I was learning about, like, nutritional stuff, and one of the things that they told me was that apparently the reason fiber-heavy foods or fiber-rich foods are, like, lower in calories or, like, better for you is because your stomach is because you need to spend energy processing those, and your body spends that energy more easily compared to easily processed foods and like simple sugars and trans fats and non-shit and all that nonsense. And again, that also feels like something that should be easily debunkable. That definitely sounds like bullshit. Okay, then over here. I'm not comfortable with how much I'm deploying gradients, but it is what it is. Okay, then over here. This feels like the correct path. I definitely feel like I'm on the right track, but I feel like I am failing to commit to something. Maybe I just need to trust the process for a little longer. Okay, then over here. That doesn't seem right. Does that mean that maybe we need to add... No, that... I was gonna say, does that mean we need to add a highlight? But that also doesn't feel right. That can't be right, right? Surely. Surely. Yeah, no. That's not working out. Okay, maybe we need... Hang on, maybe we can do a little bit of like a... Like an integration of both of these schemes. There has to be a way we can incorporate both. And here's my proposal. We're going to add a little bit of a highlight right here. Nope, nope, nope. That looks bad. That does not look right to me. Okay, let's try that again, actually. Yeah, I'm sure this just looks weird because I haven't done the rest of these either. The perspective on this, I think, is what's throwing me off. I don't think I'm working with the right perspective. What we might be able to do, actually, to blend it out a little, is to just add a little bit of a highlight here in the middle. Maybe just a little bit brighter than that. Nope, too bright, too bright, too bright. Let's not overhandle it and just finish adding the highlights first. And we can use the soft eraser up here too. Hold on, we might be getting somewhere with this. This feels like we're back on the right path. And I think the right thing to do here is just add a little bit more, increase the tolerance first of all, just so we don't need to reapply the drawing paint 1,000 times. Yeah, okay. And then hatching, triple line, make it smaller. Just some texturing, I think, would really, really help to round this out. Careful to not get any on the hair. Careful to not get any on the frills. We can also blend it out just a tiny bit up here. Okay, then over here, just adjusting it a little bit more. And we can even decrease the brush size further. This feels like it's the right path. We can make it a little bit bigger again. Okay. I think that's the shading for the hat done. Now the last thing I think we need to do is just add a little bit of extra shading to the ribbons up here. And that should take like 5 seconds. Okay. I think that's done. Whew. All right, now the only thing left is the background. This one might be tricky. But I do have an idea for how to do it. Did I add the Hanafuda card somewhere? Where did I leave that? Oh, it's right here. Okay, first, actually, hang on. Wait, what's this do? Oh, I think this is a copy of it. Okay, whatever. Right. First things first, I'm going to stuff all of the relevant layers into a folder. Just so that it's a little bit easier to access. Do we still have the fan shading somewhere? Okay, yeah. Let's see, refer to editing layer. I just wanted to add a little bit something extra for the fan. Because I feel like I did this before, but I didn't really have a chance to redo it. No, wait, actually, maybe not on the little dots themselves, but definitely on the cross part. It just looks nice. Okay. Ba, ba, ba. What the? There we go. Okay. So it's from around here to here. Okay, nice. The Hanafuda cards are up here. Where's the folder that I had originally? Oh, I turned it off. That's why. Okay, so I wanted to try adding a couple of Hanafuda cards here because I thought that they would fit in well with like the general aesthetic of her outfit. But in retrospect, I'm starting to wonder if that's the right call. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up my downloads because I got a bunch of these things, right? I got a bunch of different little patterns. And what I think would be a good idea would be probably not these cyberpunk looking ones. Ooh, this one feels like it's a good one. Okay, let's do like a kind of muted color. So maybe like one... Maybe like this sort of purple. We should probably put this in its own folder layer as well while we're at it. Is there a way to control the density of the... Okay. What's this one? Interesting, but it doesn't compel me. Maybe this one? Ooh, okay. Hang on. I really like this idea of having the yellow on the purple for the background. Still looking for a good way to execute that. Okay, I have an idea for how to do this. So let's scroll back up a little bit. I noticed that there was this pattern. That thumbprint-esque one is generally interesting texture outside of this piece. It is so cool as a pattern. I'm really glad that I managed to pick it up. I'm glad that I went on that it's not really a spending spree because all of them were like free textures. That being said, this one with the 4-pointed flower seems like it'll be a good start because it's similar to the pattern to the one on her dress. That being said, if we could make these higher resolution, it would be perfect. As it stands, let me think about this a little bit. Because I also have an idea for how to do this. Can I take another look at that Hanafuda card real quick? Because I remember this one in particular had like a significance because Hanafuda cards are broken up into months, and I think they are just broken up into months for the suits, and I think this one was related to the birthday for Ina, which I thought would be a cool nod, but at the same time. Actually, you know what we can do as well is just add any pattern that looks interesting to the background folder, and then we can just eliminate them later. Because scrolling like this is also not very convenient. Is this on fire? Oh, yeah. What's this one? Huh. Simple, but not bad. How about this one? No, that doesn't fit in quite right. That one also looks a little bit too industrial. How about this one? That also doesn't have the right feel to it. This is one that I really wanted, so I'm going to keep this. Wait, no, this one's different. This one's slightly different. How about this one? Ooh, this one if we turn it diagonal. Ooh, yeah, okay, I like that one. I like this one as well. It might be easier to say which ones I don't like rather than the ones I do like. But that's no way to operate a business. How about this one? Also really strong. These have such elegance in how a lot of them are very simple, but at the same time they have just enough to make you like lose your eye in them. That sounds weird. To have your gaze lost in them. Ooh, this one's also really good. What else we got? What else we got? Not feeling that one. Not feeling that one. What's this one? This one actually feels pretty hard on my eyes. I don't know why. Yeah, no, these ones are gonna be heat. Even if I don't end up using them for this one, I very likely will. But even if I don't end up using them for this one, this is still so good. Such good stuff. Because I'm thinking, right? What if we just make a mosaic out of a bunch of these in the background? Okay, yeah. Hang on. I think I understand how I want to do this. Okay, so here's what let's do. I am going to pop her out of here. We can get the Hanafuda card out of here too. There's what is that painting that has like red, white, blue, and yellow blocks? Mondrian, yeah, okay. Composition with red, blue, and yellow. That's the one. A 1930 painting by Piet Mondrian, a Dutch artist who was a leading figure in neoclassicism movement. Okay. It consists of thick black brushwork defining the borders of colored rectangles. As the title suggests, the only colors used in it besides black and white are red, blue, and yellow. The piece is very similar to Mondrian's 1930 composition 2 in red, blue, and yellow. It demonstrates his commitment to relational opposites, asymmetry, and pure planes of color. Mondrian composed this painting as a harmony of contrast that signifies both balance and the tension of dynamic forces. I feel like the dynamic forces don't speak to me so much, particularly because these are all very much horizontal and vertical lines. I feel like dynamics, you associate those a lot with diagonals, but at the same time, there is some, or maybe that's just the paint cracking. I was gonna say some of the texture in here does help to even that out. Okay. Wait, this one also looks good. Did we add this one? We didn't, but it's not that good. Okay, I think we're done browsing this section of the aisle. Would it still work to watermark it if you use the same painting but like flipped? Okay, let's not think about useless things for a minute. Okay. Here's what let's do. We're not gonna have a whole lot of chances for this. Let's say 80 for the brush size. And let's use a parallel line ruler. Hang on. Cancel the transformation. It almost reminds me of like a brick thingy. Okay. So on top of this, what we're going to do, first of all, we need to like make sure that they don't overlap too much. So let's just do a quick integrity check of the pipes. Yeah, no, I think that was the only one where that happened. Okay, the second thing to do is to... And some of the ones that I brought over are really good at this. How do they make it look gold-like? This one, for example. Okay, I kind of get it. So let's just use the clipping layer. We can add a... Or actually, hang on. We have some of these metal items. It would be a little bit of a waste not to use them. The only issue is... I have an idea, actually. Hang on. Duplicate this layer. But on the second layer here, we can add a layer of purlin noise. And then we can we can start blending this one into the purlin noise to make it less uniform. This should help. Not really helping, actually, as a matter of fact. I didn't make the purlin noise small enough, I think. Hang on, let me re-render that. Come on, give me something to work with here. You are not giving me very much to work with. Oh, wait, no, I'm controlling the... This is the purlin noise layer. Hang on. Put this back to normal. This kind of looks like just the like some kind of weird bejeweled thing. Maybe we blur the purlin noise a little bit. Or hang on, filter, distort. Oh, that's kind of violent. Oh, this would make some really good like ground texture for an RPG Maker game. You know what? What if we just leave them black? What if we just leave them black? Why not? We can start figuring out some more stuff about them later, but we still need to do a couple more things with these. So my idea is to add. Actually, no. Having Ina in here might be good for this. Okay, so I think we're definitely gonna want some like darker colors down here. And just some, just gradually becoming lighter as they go. So let's do that. Not particularly dark. Let's darken that one. Okay, now what we're going to do is that we're going to increase the contrast here. And then we are going to turn these suckers purple using tonal correction color match to the first draft of this picture we had. Could use some more variety down here. Like for example, if we turn volume down on this one. Maybe we can increase the contrast a little bit yet again. Just so that these are all a little bit more distinctive. I feel like I'm playing a shell game with myself with these colors. Okay. If we decrease the kind of thickness of these, is that going to mess it up too much? A little bit, yeah. We decrease it a little bit more. That's too much decrease, but this is too little. Somewhere around here, I guess. Okay. We can reduce the close gap thingy just for our own convenience. If we flip this around, oh, hang on, this is kind of spicy. Pause, hang on. We might have just unlocked something. I'm gonna copy and paste these just to their own little folder in here, because this looks interesting, but I don't know if we should fully commit to it just yet. We can also get rid of these two layers. I think they're just there to tempt us into making mistakes. Honestly, a fan of this one. I don't know about this last block up here. This one could stand to be a slightly lighter color, and then just maybe make the one back. Okay, here's what let's do. We're going to copy and paste this, and then we're going to increase the contrast and lower the light and the brightness. Because I want her to stand out from the background, but that's very difficult to do when the background is lighter than she is. Although, maybe we can turn this around. What if instead of black, it's white? Getting there, getting there. Okay, what if we switch to that nice, dull yellow color? Do I even have that on the palette anymore? How about this? No. No, that's not... I mean... Hang on. Okay, maybe the key is to make them not quite 100% 000 black, but made like, you know, key black or a similar kind of not full send kind of darkness. If we decrease the saturation of these, and then for these items, we decrease the saturation totally. Hang on. Let me try that again. Okay, yeah. Taking away the saturation on the frames was definitely the right choice. I wish there was an easy way to scramble which color each of these was. Hold on. This might be something, actually. Let's play around with these a little while. Green is an interesting choice. I do want it to be purple, but maybe it's not good to be so fixated on that. Red is a bit much. All that red is definitely a bit much. She really looks a lot like Radin with this clothing on. Okay, tonal correction, color match. Decrease the saturation. No, keep the saturation about the same. Maybe even increase it a little bit and then lower the luminosity. No, after we increase the saturation, we need to lower the contrast. Are we sure the white frame borders won't work? Or maybe they can be like some kind of seafoam or like off-white, shell white. On the other hand, the solid black might also be something to go off on. I really did not think this through, and that's coming back to bite me big time. Hold up. Hold on, we might be onto something with this. It's still a little bit orange. We just wanted a tiny bit more yellow. Okay. We are back in business, it feels like. Except for these tiles here. Those ones we should probably try to kind of retain their original color. If we compared these two, Would it even be possible to say, if I use this? I think this might have been the key we were missing. I do think that this might be this might be it. Okay, yeah. Okay, here's and now we can execute part 2 of this, which was of my ingenious plan. Hang on. Okay, so we gotta make a mask. Oops. Yeah, okay. And is that gonna show up if she's in there? Yes, okay. So here's the plan. We're going to pick like 2 or 3 really good. Ooh, but maybe okay, no. Yeah, no, maybe for this one this kind of like wave pattern would be really good. I just have a bunch of different patterns be up here. Now, I don't know that this is the wisest idea, but it is the one that I wanted to go with. So... Okay, then over here. Ooh. A lot of good options on the vertical and the horizontal. Let's just bring it back around to how it was originally for the time being. This thumbprint one, I think it'll go really good if we just do all 3 of these like lighter yellower ones with the thumbprint pattern, but we change the thumbprint pattern to be like a slightly different color. Like that. Yeah, perfect. Okay. I hope this doesn't look too garish. So far, it's actually looking quite elegant, which is really what I was going for. What the? Oh, I see what happened. There we go. Would that also help for, say, the ones here? I like it better this way. But again, I don't know if this might be too much. Ah, fuck it, we ball. Now, maybe we can find a way to make them just a tiny bit less intrusive, though. At least for a couple of them. For the most part, I'm very happy with this. With this lineup. Although I would just like decrease the brightness of the frame just by like a tiny bit. And then my favorite trick for making a frame. That's not really working because of the fact that the hat is too... Hang on. Maybe this one will work. But see, now that's too cramped. So we're gonna need like maximum like maybe 10 pixels of space. Barely anything, but you know what? Sometimes that's all you need. Actually, at that point, why even bother adding one? To be honest. We can also do a couple of things just to make Ina look a little bit more... a little bit easier to spot. So for one thing... let's stuff all of these into a folder and merge them into a single layer. That's always worked well for me. Never failed me once. True story. Tone correction, brightness and contrast, increase brightness, increase contrast, increase brightness, increase contrast. Maybe decrease contrast a little bit, actually. Maybe decrease brightness just a touch. Tonal correction, gradient map. It's actually... having it in black and white like that really lets me know that I've messed up a little bit with the amount of contrast in the picture. The skin in particular is a bit too much. It's like nuclear radioactive type glowing. I don't think that's normal. We can decrease the contrast just for this part. Can we make her look less like she's glowing in a radioactive manner? Well, you can't win them all, I suppose. It's still a little bit easy to lose her. But I do know a couple of tricks that we can try out first. So select, okay, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, tonal correction, brightness and contrast. Decrease brightness, but bump up contrast. For a couple of these, we're going to have to do some hand adjustment. So, again, especially for the face. Like, her nose is ceasing to exist. Maybe there is something as well we could do for the face plate here. Maybe we can just add a layer of like this kind of Pantone. Maybe shift that, bump that hue to a little bit to the left. Oops, that's not on a different layer, my bad. There we go. That's much better. That suppressed the radioactivity to an extent. Probably not great that I'm phrasing it like that, but it is what it. Hang on. Oh, damn it. I forgot to fill out. Oh, shoot. Forgot to fill out this part of the eye here. Could we go back and do that in post? Is that something that's on the table? I think we can swing it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now, bringing back the... interesting. Whatever. Bringing back the background. Okay, so expanding this by, say, 10 pixels and giving her an outline. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, so if we merge this one together, and maybe we can use the gradient map a little bit. Okay, hang on, that's fire though. Oh, that's not purple, but it's so good looking though. You know what? Color harmony be damned, I'm going with this one. Can we increase the contrast a little bit even? Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's a job well done. Let me slap my signature on it, and we can call it a night. It bugs me that the signature's a little bit crooked. Hang on. Hold on. One last thing. Okay, there we go. Whew. All right, we have worked our ass off. All right, let's hit the hay, everybody. Good work out there. I'll be posting the schedule for next week, probably either tonight or tomorrow. And in the meantime, I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.